So Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Azeez taking place Saturday, OVO Arena Wembley. It's gonna be a cracking one, light heavyweight division clash. And you know what? Light heavyweight division. Listen, there's a roster of fighters right now in the UK. You've got Buatsi, you've got Dan Azeez, Anthony Yard, sort of up there. Craig Richards still there. Lyndon Arthur is still there. You've got Ben Whitaker coming through now. You know, when he's got his own style there. When knocking over the guys that he's meant to be beating, defeating. But you know, he's probably eyeing up some of these guys right now. And then obviously we've got Callum Smith as well, having lost to Beterbiev. So there's a very good solid roster of light heavyweights right now in the UK, and we're going to be having Joshua Buatsi taking on Dan Azeez on Saturday. So before I jump into it, be sure to like this video, share this video, drop your comments in the comment section below. Be sure to follow me on all platforms at Twitter at KO Boxing Vibe 1 and Instagram at official KO Boxing Vibe to stay locked in to everything on this channel. Cool. So Joshua Buatsi taking on Dan Azeez. It's going to be an interesting fight. Both of these guys historically they've sparred each other numerous times. They're pretty much friends outside of the ring, so to speak. When you're in the gym, people are cracking jokes, laughing. You know, from a similar sort of background as well in South London. You know the vibes. It's going to be chilled, and obviously these guys are meeting up now at this stage in their career, crossing roles at Sky Sports, at Boxer. They're both signed to the same sort of platform. And at this stage it sort of makes sense. An in-house fight for Sky Sports and Boxer to sort of set up. Both of these guys are looking for world titles next. It's going to be interesting to see how that is navigated, because obviously, Beterbiev and Bivol are going to most likely fight for undisputed. When they fight for undisputed and someone's crowned, the belt's obviously going to probably end up getting splintered off, especially if one of them decides to maybe move up to the division or maybe move down. In Bivol's case, looking at maybe super middleweight, there somehow belts could get splintered off, and one of these guys could be fighting for maybe a vacant title. You know, is that a way? You really want to win the title? Maybe not having fought at the Beterbiev or the Bivol. Some people call it, navigating your career. Some people call it ducking the harder fights. Whichever way you guys want to take it, you can take it. But in terms of this fight itself, it's going to be interesting. Dan Azeez has always been that guy, very rugged, quite durable, likes to break guys down, and then end up taking them out in a lot of cases. Joshua Buatsi is very weird because outside the ring he's like chill, but once he gets in the ring he can be vicious, like devastating fashion, fast hands, punching power as well. And I think Joshua Buatsi is notoriously quite big, You see him and Dan Azeez on numerous occasions, like he's bigger than Dan Azeez. To be fair, he's bigger than quite a lot of sort of like heavyweights. That Joshua Buatsi really does sort of squeeze down into making this weight. So it's going to be interesting to see how Dan Azeez tries to approach walking down a Buatsi, because he could try and do that, but obviously you're walking into the firing line doing so. And at the same time, Buatsi hasn't fought someone at this sort of level that's literally going to try and walk to him and try and take him out. Some people's been complaining that Buatsi hasn't really been fighting anyone that's really going to cause him any sort of problems at the level they expect him to, because they're saying this guy, Olympic gold medalist, they're expecting him by now to have fought Bivol, because they're looking at Lyndon Arthur has fought Bivol, Anthony Yard he fought Kovalev, and he fought Artur Beterbiev. Callum Smith, he moved up into the light heavyweight division. He's now fought Beterbiev, even though he lost. So people's thinking, why hasn't Joshua Buatsi fought Bivol or Beterbiev? Some people are putting that maybe what happened with Matchroom. He maybe didn't want to go down that route, but everyone's got their own way of navigating their career. Maybe that's the way he feels like his career needs to go, where it's just a matter of time before he fights for world titles anyway. So let me be in a position where I'm ready to actually potentially win. Because Buatsi's team, he could point and say, listen, Yard fought Kovalev, Yard fought Beterbiev, and did he win? He got knocked out twice. Lyndon Arthur, he fought Bivol. What happened to him? Completely outboxed and schooled, and A very poor performance from Lyndon Arthur there. And then they might point and say, you know what? Look at Callum Smith. He went there, he got stopped and he got knocked out and dropped for the first time in his life by Artur Beterbiev. You know. And then you say, look at Craig Richards. He went in there. Was it a bit even against a rusty Bivol? Couldn't get the job done even against a rusty Bivol. So Buatsi's team will look at these things and they will be like, listen, we don't need to be going into these fights and say, oh, let's just make a good account of ourselves. Let's be ready to actually win these fights. Because that is a point too. You know, do you want to go into these fights just to make an account of yourself, or do you want to go into these fights ready to actually win? Which is another good way of sort of looking at it. But everyone to their own. Some people want to jump into things and gamble and potentially winning. Some people want to be fully prepared to take on these tough opponents. But can you really be always fully prepared? There's always going to be room for improvement. But obviously, the better you can be to fight, especially someone like a Beterbiev and Bivol, like obviously the better you can be prepared, it's going to do you a lot of good fighting those type of guys. But Buatsi and versus Dan Azeez, I think obviously Buatsi is going to be a favorite here. You know, with the pedigree where he's coming from, the punching power that he does have, the hands can be quite quick and he's very vicious, especially if he hurts guys. And Dan Azeez is very like an old school sort of fighter. I feel like he's going to be quite open to taking a lot of shots here. But again, can Buatsi deal with the pressure that Dan Azeez is going to put on his chest? You know, he's going to be there working away, trying to break him down. It's going to be it's going to be a very interesting, very interesting sort of fight. I won't be surprised if at least both of these guys get hurt at some point in the fight. I won't be surprised if one of them goes down, or if both of them go down, because they both have the power to put each other down. So 50-50 fight. You know, it will be quite interesting. Some people say, well, Buatsi is the favorite, but you know, Dan Azeez has had a good string. You know, someone that like Dan Azeez hasn't lost. You know, doesn't not used to losing in sort of as a professional, and Buatsi unbeaten as well. Gonna be very interesting on the night. I would be obviously favouring Buatsi if I'm gonna say, you know, if I had to say, I would say maybe 65-35. Maybe that's what I say, or maybe 60-40. 60-40 might be a good fair way. 60-40 could be a good fair way of sort of maybe positioning if you're gonna position who's the favourite on the percentage, because maybe the extra percentage for Buatsi coming back from the fact that he's got more pedigree, and a lot of people, you know, some of his wins have been he's done quite well in some of his wins. You know, the way he's managed to dispatch of certain people, and obviously the styles, the way he's going to come up against Azeez. So, yeah, man, 60-40, I think I favour Buatsi to win this fight. Not to say Dan Azeez could very well apply the pressure, and then, which will be too much for Buatsi, but yeah, this is why we like boxing. End of the day, people can say they take, so Buatsi's gonna win, Dan Azeez is gonna win. We're all gonna know what's really gonna happen once the bell goes off. So be sure to like this video, share this video, drop your comments in the comment section below. I do reply to the comments, I do check those out. Like the video as well, and again, share this video on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Again, follow me on Twitter at KO Boxing Vibe 1 and Instagram at official KO Boxing Vibe. Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Azeez this Saturday, OVO Arena Wembley. Let's have it. Cool.